Alright, so we do our first normal landing here at Key West. We'll fly an approach speed of 60 knots. So there's only very light wind. We'll use flaps 30. Right, the speed is in a wide arc, so let's incrementally extend the flaps. Be aware of the ballooning. Okay, flaps are 30, mixture is rich. The carpet is on for the time. We'll switch that off on final approach. Okay, don't get too slow. I want to fly my 60 knots. Okay, there we go. Try to get everything stabilized as soon as possible. So your airspeed, descent rate, airplane configuration, runway centerline tracking. So the key to a stabilized and good landing is a stabilized approach. Now, my aiming point now is the beginning of the runway. I choose, well, the piano keys just at the beginning, and my touchdown point will then be the runway, first runway markings beyond that. So where all this tire rubber is. Important to find an aiming point that's ahead, in front of your intended touchdown point, because of course your flare will need some distance. Okay, short final. So carb heat is off. 60 knots, that's good. Trying to keep my aiming point at the same position in the windscreen so that I'm flying a constant approach angle. As we're coming over the threshold, reduce the throttle to idle and then just add a little bit of back pressure on the yoke. More and more, just a little bit more and a little bit more. Just hold it off. Hold it off. A bit more, hold it, hold it, hold it. And then have a nice touchdown on the main wheels with the nose wheel in the air, and then slowly lower the nose wheel. Alright, not bad, our first landing. So let's have a look at the replay. Alright, so this is the outside view of our landing. So find your aiming point. Make sure it doesn't move up or down in the windscreen, so that you keep your approach angle. Over the fence or the threshold, pull power back to idle and then just pull the nose up until the descent of the airplane stops, and then as soon as it starts to descend again, pull a bit more, and so on and so on, so that you have more and more back pressure on the yoke until you finally touch down. Of course, this requires a lot of feel for the aircraft and simply a lot of practice. So if you don't get it right at first, that's completely normal. You need a lot of landings, a lot of practice until you really know how to time the flare, how much back pressure to apply, and so on. But you'll see, if you've done that often enough, at some point you will master these landings perfectly. Alright, so now for demonstration purposes, I will show you a bad landing. To be more exact, a 3-point landing. So you should always touch down with your main wheels first and then slowly lower the nose wheel, because the nose wheel is not made for the shock of a landing touchdown. So what can happen, especially if you're approaching too fast and you then want to force the airplane onto the ground, is that you do a 3-point landing with all 3 wheels at the same time, or even worse, with a nose gear first. So I'm going to demonstrate this now for you, so that you see what happens. What happens most of the time is that the airplane bounces back into the air, and then you really need to know what you're doing to save the landing. In any case, you have to make sure that on the second touchdown the nose is up and you're touching down on the main wheels first. Otherwise, after 2 or 3 bounces, the nose gear will probably collapse. And if in doubt, if you can save the landing, simply go around. Alright, so flaps are 30, mixture is rich, the carpet is still on. I'm flying too fast now on purpose to demonstrate this to you. Let's say I'm coming in too fast with 70 knots, and I still try to force the airplane onto the ground so that I touch down on the markers where all the rubber marks are. This is something that typically happens if you want to force it down on a short runway, but you're coming in too fast. Alright, we can switch the carpet off in case we have to go around. We're 10 knots faster now than we should be. But we still want to hit our touchdown spot. So forcing it down early. And you see what happens, we're flying again. So keep the nose up now and do a proper touchdown on the main wheels only. So if you're not sure that you can save the landing, just go around, especially if that happens on a very short runway. Always make sure that you have the correct approach speed and the correct touchdown attitude. Alright, now this concludes this lesson, and I hope to see you next time.